How are you guys doing tonight? This is Felonious Bitcoin. I'm making this video tonight for you guys because I couldn't help but notice that there was another video made from the president when he was walking out of the Oval Office when they were having discussions about his border wall. Anyways, regardless of what the issues are that they're bringing up, what they're talking about, it's not related to what is really going on behind the scenes. They're not telling you the truth about anything. I'm pretty sure you guys might have noticed by now that the governments of the world, they never tell you the truth about anything. But I'm here tonight to tell you the truth about what's really going on, and it's making me uneasy to just think about it. The whole world right now is having a currency crisis. All the money, the entire monetary system is based on Keynesian economics. And for anyone out there that doesn't know anything about that, it's based on a model that's it's designed to have inflation and to collapse at some point. Every government monetary system in history has been designed to collapse and to steal wealth from their citizens. Of course, the governments will never tell you this, but that is what they're doing. And you can see it in everyday life. If you guys pay close enough attention, you'll see inflation going up. Right now, we're at the last stages of the US dollar collapse. That's exactly why, when they were talking about how Trump walked out of office last night or yesterday, they said that they don't have any money, right? You could hear it plain as day. They said they have no money for the wall. And the reason they have no money is because this country is already $23 trillion in debt. And no other country wants to do business with the United States at this point. So I think it's very irresponsible and neglectful to the American people for them to say lies and not tell the truth about the facts. They tell you facts in their own minds, what they think facts are, but it's not facts. They're telling you, they're posturing, they're giving you excuses as to why they can't do something or why they're incompetent. And the reason they're incompetent is because the governments are designed to extract wealth from their citizens. Since the beginning of history, you'll see that. And I think that's a very dangerous precedent for them to set, to make people think that it's okay for you to, extract wealth from people for doing nothing. They say that it's the form of taxes or, for government services, but for what? What do does the government have to show for the American people? Besides all these tactics that you're using, all the tax money that you've extracted from your people, and for what? You can grow the military-industrial complex to have complete control over everyone and everything. Is that what it is? Because that's where it seems like it's going. On the New Year's Eve ball drop, we had U.S. Stratcom boasting about how they're going to drop something bigger than the ball in Times Square, which they were referring to bombs. So I think that we have a very evil system set up now. I think that the United States Constitution has been overrun by the government that we have today. The government as we have it today was not the government that we had when it once existed, that had they had morals and they had values for people, as opposed to today, where the government, their only objective is to extract as much wealth from their people as possible. They will, and this is, and you guys can, if you look into this enough and you research, you'll see everything I'm telling you is fact regarding this. The government, back in history, 1964, 1970-ish, or I think maybe even before that, they took us off the gold standard, right? The government did. They took us off the gold standard, so we would have to pay taxes in the form of Federal Reserve notes, right? And with these Federal Reserve notes, they're able to create inflation because they get their bills from the Treasury or the bonds from the Treasury, and in exchange they get Treasury notes, and then they have interest. which is basically money that doesn't exist. They charge people money that doesn't exist in the system. That way everybody is eventually in debt to the government, right? So how can that be possible? How can that be allowed? For the governments of the world to basically tell their people that the people owe them money when they've already been paying endless taxes, inflation, that they've had to deal with the circumstances of inflation, their paychecks staying the same and the cost of living going up. I think that is highly illegal. I think there should be some sort of law against that. For you to be able to basically be a criminal organization in a legal sense to extract money from people, because the majority of people out there, they don't want to deal with the politics. They don't care about the politics anymore because, you know something, quite frankly, it's done nothing but hurt the people of the world since the beginning of time. So what's the point? Honestly, what is the point? To have complete control and domination over everything? I mean, and if we're talking ahead into the future, please tell me this isn't where the governments are thinking about going with chipping people and talking about new technology. That way they're able to, better track, drug trafficking and human trafficking across borders. I think that that's the direction that they're moving in, and they're causing the direction to happen. 9/11, it's not a conspiracy theory at this point. It's more like conspiracy fact. We all know that you guys did this so that you can inflict more strict rules upon the American people and probably the entire world as a whole. You had the Patriot Act already written up, ready to go before the attack took place. And then 2 weeks before the terrorist attacks, you got the owner of the Twin Towers, and you guys can look this up. The owner of the Twin Towers took out $1 trillion insurance policy specifically for terrorist attacks. Now, I'm not one to go based on statistics, but what are the odds of that happening 1 week before or 2 weeks before the terrorist attacks? Please, I'll wait. But seriously, people have the right to take control into their own hands. I mean, if you guys are with me on this and you guys are tired of seeing overstepping of boundaries and control where it's not necessary, or it's quite frankly, it's out of line. I'm sure when you guys were kids, you woke up one day and you went to school and you said, I want to make the world a better place. You want to do something that makes life better for people. Why can't the governments do that? If they have this responsibility to run countries, right? That should be like a very high honored position to have. And you don't want to mess that up because you have people that are dependent on you and are looking forward to what you have to say to make changes, to do things right, to make things right. And something, the governments, for what we have and what I've seen since the beginning of my life, is I haven't seen them make any positive changes for anybody. Over the long term. Maybe in the short term, sure, but that's only to hype morale, only to, stomp it down again, because this is the trajectory that it's heading in, right? Everything is slowly going downhill, and it's happened faster and faster now in the last 5 years than I've ever imagined it would. I've been talking about this, dollar crisis, the economy collapsing for years now. The 2008 banking crisis, that was just another symptom to the problem that's really going on. The monetary system is not working. And you want to know what's going to happen is the IMF or another criminal organization out in the world that has a lot of weapons is going to tell you that you need to use a certain kind of money or a certain technology to transact in order to get goods and services. And I'm telling you guys, do not believe it. Do not jump on it, because it is not true. Whatever they tell you, it's not true. You want to go back to the standard. Since the beginning of time, what's been money? And the answer is simple. You look in the Bible, and that's a control tool as far as I'm concerned, but I mean, there might be some credit to an intelligence behind the universe. That is what I firmly believe. But as far as the monetary system goes, I believe that the only true money, unforgeable money, mind you, is gold and silver. Physical gold and silver. You do not want to have paper derivatives. You don't want to have stocks or bonds or get into the Dow Jones when it's peaked and it's about to crash, because you know something, the governments, they're the ones behind all this manipulation, the silver and gold manipulation, manipulating people into thinking that these are the actual issues that are going on. You know, you have an actor, and that's all he is. Donald Trump is an actor. He's not a president. He's not a political face. I don't think anyone in politics is a political face. If you want my honest opinion, I would say that Ron Paul is the most genuine of all the people, you know, in Congress. You know, and I think if the world had someone like him as a president, this place would be a better place, because he speaks from the heart. He speaks from a place where he cares. You know what I mean? The presidents today, they're all about, you know, staying in control. You know what I mean? There's no feeling to it. It's all about control, regardless of the costs. And what are the costs? What have we seen today? Look at Venezuela. The sanctions that the United States put against Venezuela. The sanctions that the United States puts against the entire world. And now the entire world doesn't want to have a thing to do with the United States. Obviously, for good reason. Because our currency, we got everybody off of the gold and silver standard and then switched them over to our paper-backed currency, which would be the US dollar, which I'm telling you guys right now, it's probably going to collapse any day now. It's going to be worthless, and eventually the system is going to be, it's going to be a big transfer of wealth. That's basically what's going on right now. The issues they talk about on the news and about Trump leaving the Oval Office because he's not getting his way, blah, 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 from both sides. You know what I mean? It's a confusion game. Don't fall victim to it. I'm telling you guys, because they've been playing this game for long enough. It's got to stop. You know what I mean? The control tactics, they need to stop. They need to let people, they need to let the free market decide what money is. Not what the governments decide. That should be the last place, because you know something, governments, if they have control over a currency or a monetary system, they're going to inflate that currency to nothingness. They're going to take advantage of that currency to the point where you have no way to live. I think it's a means of population control and control as a whole over the entire planet. The way that people think, the things that people do, everything. It's all a control tactic. So, I mean, if I'm talking to other people out there that are like-minded, you know, I would definitely appreciate you guys to like and subscribe this video. Please try to spread the word to as many people as possible in as short amount of time as possible. Even if you have to make your own version of this same video, look into all these things. Look at, you know, since 1913, the Federal Reserve, 1913, the US dollar purchasing power has lost 97% of its purchasing power in just that short amount of time. And we have our government to thank for that. There's nobody else to point the finger at. They are the ones responsible for this mess. They are the ones that put us in this mess, and they are not going to get us out of it. We need to do it as human beings together, without any government oversight when it comes to that, when it comes to the monetary system. Because you know something? This doesn't just infringe on your rights as human beings to live. This infringes on even government employees' rights. They are having to work without pay now. They can't afford their mortgages. And what do they have to show for it? Besides countless wars, having countries hate us, and then lying to us on TV and making us live in this bubble like, oh, nothing can possibly happen. Everything is great. No, it's not. Trump was saying the economy's never been stronger. He just said that. Can you believe that? Can you honestly believe it? For someone as a good businessman as he is, he has some really good bullshit coming out of his mouth. As do many of the other politicians. It's all bullshit. It's not true. It's not facts. The facts that they give you are not actual facts. These are stuff that is just made up in the media to make you think a certain way. Remember what I said before? The government's, their intention is to control you and control the way that you think. And that's just one of the other ways that they do it. So give the videos that they make a watch, but don't fall victim for, you know, believing it. Because in the end, this really comes down to a currency crisis. I'm telling you guys, you're going to see prices drop sooner rather than later. And when they do, they're eventually going to spike up. You're going to see all the stocks and bonds, they're going to collapse under their own weight. Everything is just going to come crumbling down. It's going to be bad everywhere. You see what is going on in Venezuela. People are starving to death. Kids are having to sell their bodies on the streets just to have their next meal. And this is all because the government is doing this to people. This is not because of drug smugglers or human trafficking. And if you want my honest opinion, let's take a look over at Afghanistan. Why did we go over there again? For nukes that didn't exist? Or was it the opium fields that we have a vested interest in, our troops watching over it when it's not our land? And they're talking about drug dealers bringing drugs across the borders illegally. Hold on a second while I do the math on this. They're the ones that are bringing the drugs across the border. They're the ones that are causing the crisis. And then they're gonna be the ones that offer a solution to the crisis that they just caused? I don't think so. No, that's not happening. I'm not trying to overthrow the government. I'm just pointing out things that I see from a human being perspective, and I'm thinking about this logically and reasonably and from the heart. I'm telling you guys, from one person to another, put your wealth, put whatever value you have that you've worked for into something tangible, like gold and silver that they deliver to your door. You buy it from an exchange. You can go on Craigslist and you can meet a person. They have special machines that they have jewelry stores that you can verify that the metal's real. That's been sound money since the beginning of time, and that is the reason that we're in this mess today, is because they have manipulated money. They've manipulated the illusion that we have over money for something that we traded in that they have, and that is the Federal Reserve note. Issued as a currency through the IMF. The IMF is in charge of overseeing the world's currencies as they are today. And I'm telling you guys something, that don't do it again. Don't fall for it again, because something, it's just going to end up hurting future generations time and time again. That's all that's happened. We've had countless wars, people not working together, and they're using tactics. They're really good at it. Divide and conquer. What do you think is going on today in the United States? They use media manipulation to make you think a certain way. They got drugs so that people are dumbed down and stupid. That way, when they do come on the news, people aren't even paying attention. They're just so dumbed down and stupid that they don't even care anymore. But I'm telling you guys, for the people that do care out there, there is something you can do about it, and that is get into precious metals and hold on to that asset for dear life, because it's going to be a very tough time ahead. It's going to be a recession, a depression like you've never seen before in this world. Unheard of, unprecedented, and the only thing you can really do at this point is to try your best to prepare. Buy a good stock of canned foods, non-perishables that won't go bad. Buy jugs of water, distilled water or spring water with a pH value higher than 7.0, and like a small bottle of bleach in case you need to clean the water. You add 1 drop of water for every gallon of water. At 1 drop of bleach for every gallon of water to purify it. I'm telling you guys, you want to stock up, you want to prepare yourselves, because things are about to get extremely bad. And I feel so sorry for saying this to you guys, and I feel I don't even know what to say. Things are just going to get very bad very quickly for a lot of people. People are going to start starving to death. The grocery stores are not going to have food. They're going to stop making deliveries. The government has already been talking about staying shut down over a stupid wall. I'm sorry, but if you're into that high of an honored position, the last thing on your mind should be a wall. It should be, what can we do to improve the lives of the American people here today? How can we improve the lives of the children starving on the streets of this country today? Not how can we stop people trying to flee another country from the sanctions that we put on for them to stop coming into this country. I'm telling you guys, these governments, they're going for complete domination over you. They have the military-industrial complex, all that money that they used on your taxes that you paid to them has now been used to be used against you to basically control you. You're going to be made into slaves. You think World War II was bad? I think it's going to get a lot worse. And I mean, people have the chance to make this society a good one, and they're just screwing it up. Eventually, we're not going to exist if this keeps on going. And I think that's something that the governments don't even realize. They're just more concerned about control, how they can further their reign, how they can further inflict their control on other people. And that is definitely sad, to say the least, because people, they don't really care about doing a lot of wrong things most of the time. I mean, from me personally, from what I've seen, a lot of people are good. You know what I mean? The only people that I've ever had a problem with, and anyone I know has ever had a problem with, is the government, with their control and their tactics and their overstepping of boundaries, writing laws and amending laws that once had meaning. That it's completely senseless. The Constitution, I stand by the original Constitution. So when I was once asked, when I joined the Army, did I have any plans to overthrow the government? My answer to that was no. And even at that time, this was in the year 2000, and they asked me, do you have any plans to overthrow the government? I said no. And thinking back, now that I think about it, they wouldn't allow me to join the Army because I have Asperger's, which was misdiagnosed as ADD. And I took Ritalin past the 10th grade, so they said I would be a liability on the battlefield. So, and I also scored highest on the ASVAB test. When I went and took the test, I finished first, and they still wouldn't let me join. They said I would be a liability on the battlefield. I just don't understand that. The only liability here is that they are not going to control me and dictate every inner workings of my life. I'm going to live as a free man, a free human being, and if they don't like that, then they can give me death, as with anybody else. Because what is left when that's all that you have left is control? What are you going to do? Control other control mongers? That's not going to work. It's going to end in destruction. If you guys really give this any thought, it's going to end in destruction. So yeah, my final thoughts are, prepare yourselves, get into precious metals, do what's right, make good choices, help people out whenever you get the chance. Because not only is it contagious, but it makes you feel good inside. Even if you're a misguided person and you don't know where you're at in your life, and you're depressed or you're upset or you're addicted to drugs or you have some sort of problem with your family members, look beyond that. The root cause of these problems, it doesn't exist within your household. It exists outside, from people that are trying to inflict control on your lives. So do whatever you can to help other people out there. Pray. You know what I mean? Even if you don't believe in any kind of God, just pray. Try it. And hopefully, if people can come together and move beyond this phase in humanity of control, we can actually start to make this world a better place by working together. But again, this is Felonious Bitcoin, and if you guys have a chance, give that video that Trump had a watch. Give all those videos about what's going on in politics a watch with an open mind. Don't fall for whatever it is that they tell you. Try to read between the lines, look into this, educate yourselves as much as possible, especially upon the economics and the monetary system. Look up Keynesian economics and Austrian economics, and you can see the difference is real. You have an inflationary currency that's designed to collapse, designed to extract wealth, and designed to impoverish and kill people. And then you have an Austrian economics model that's meant to have a deflationary effect. So that way, as more people come on Earth, it kind of evens things out, because the value of things has higher purchasing power as you go on. Gold and silver should always be considered real money, not the stuff that the IMF declares as legal tender, not the stuff that goes through a courtroom that a judge says has legal tender. That is not what gives something value. You are what gives something value. And so far throughout history, the longest standing monetary instrument has always been gold and silver, and that is what I would say to stick to in these hard times. And don't hand it over for any amount of money that they promised to give you, because they did the same thing with Federal Reserve notes, and look at where that got us. Do not play this game with them. Live your life on your own terms, and you're not inflicting pain on them, so why should they have that right to do to you? That's the way I look at it. So again, this is Felonious Bitcoin, and I hope you guys like, subscribe, and leave a comment, leave your thoughts. This is what it's all about. People working together, sharing ideas, making this world a better place. I have kids, and I hope to God that when they grow up, they don't have to see any of the stuff that we saw. Because it's all just a bunch of shit. It really is. And we get nothing but excuses. They never cop to any kind of wrongdoing. And no government ever admits to any wrongdoing. And why is that? Because they're never wrong, or because they have a control thing where they in their own mind, they're never wrong. But they are. I mean, look at what they're doing to their own people. I mean, come on, that's a prime example right there. How are you going to stand behind a flag that is designed to extract wealth from everybody and to impoverish people and to make them starve to death all around the globe? I'm telling you guys, there's a reason that everyone in this world hates the United States, and it's for a good reason. It's because everybody was using the Federal Reserve System as their backing, and now that it's worth nothing because the government decided to print and give out credit, and nobody can pay it back, and now we're trillions in debt, and nobody has any idea what to do about it except quantitative easing and derivative exchanges, and that's not going to work. Digital currencies, again, those are not going to work. Because the government, they have a vested interest in cryptocurrencies because they control the internet. That's their design, it's their model, it's their plan. The internet was designed by them for them. Always keep that in the back of your mind. Whenever you go online, whenever you do anything, whatever you say, it's recorded and they're listening. I know that they're listening to this right now, and I hope that they can make some decisions that change what they do moving forward, as opposed to just have control. But I mean, if I'm a betting man, I would bet my last, breath of life that's what they're going for, is control, more so than they have right now. Again, this is Felonious Bitcoin, and I hope you guys have a good new year, and you stay safe and prepare for what's coming, because it's not going to be good. God bless.